talking about whether or not you should get started if you are low on funds. So I know getting started with a new business, a lot of people don't have a lot of money to put into a business when they're first starting out. So I'm not here today to tell you, all about what you should do with your money or what you shouldn't do with your money. But what I do want to talk about is just a few factors to take into consideration, maybe if you are not starting out with a ton of money. And I have definitely been in both places myself. I've been in a place of starting something up with really no money whatsoever, just getting out of college and having a really low paying job at the time. And also I've started things being in a place where I have a little extra money that I'm able to invest into my business. So I've started businesses from both of these places. And I just kind of want to talk to you about kind of like the mindset too of starting from both of these different places. Okay, so I made my notes for today. And first of all, I just kind of want to talk about, how to get started if you are low on funds or you don't have like a ton of money to put in. There are ways to get started that do have, less startup costs. So I think that anybody can get started at any level, but where you want to be careful is if, you're super struggling just to like pay for your necessities. And like I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I do highly recommend if you are struggling to pay for the necessities, hold off, wait to start a new business, because I feel like coming from that place, you're just so stressed out. And I've, been in that position too, where it's like, okay, like I'm struggling to pay my bills. I have to pay rent next month. Like definitely pay your rent and don't start a new business. But I am going to talk about a few different ways that you can fund your business too. Maybe if you don't have the cash on hand. And these are things that I've done, again, in my businesses as well. So these are definitely options for you to get started if you don't have like oodles and oodles of money sitting around, which most of us don't when we're just getting started. So first of all, the different boutiques that you can start that are going to be drastically different for how much they cost is drop shipping and inventory based. So drop shipping is where you are not investing any money in your inventory and you are only buying the product once it sells to your customers. So that's probably one of the biggest expenses for starting a boutique business is your inventory. So if you're going to be an inventory-based business, depending on the product that you're going to be selling, that's either going to be, one of your really big expenses versus with drop shipping, you don't have to come up with, thousands and thousands of dollars to invest in inventory. So that's why I think it's a great place to get started. If you're not 100% sure on what's going to sell, I still use drop shipping all the time to test something out before I actually invest in inventory. So I still do that myself, and there's nothing wrong with drop shipping. If you've been around here for a little bit, at first I was a little bit skeptical about drop shipping. Like it's never been something that I was like, oh, I think this is a great idea. But that all changed a few years ago when I gave it a try. I was like, you know what, let me see what it's all about. And I gave it a try and I saw the potential for it. And I saw ways that you can test, businesses before investing all of this money into inventory. So if you guys were here yesterday, I was talking a little bit about a new boutique that I just started in December. And that's kind of how that one started. I started testing it out with drop shipping first and not investing in inventory because it was a category that I had never even sold before. So I wasn't 100% sure, that this was even going to work. So yeah, so drop shipping is a great place to start. Now with that business, it is full inventory. I'm not doing any drop shipping whatsoever, just because I like a little bit more control with other things instead of, the less control with drop shipping. So obviously pros and cons to both. And I really, really go in deep on drop shipping and an inventory-based business during my free workshop, 5 First Steps to Start Your Online Boutique. Let's talk about different ways. So say, for example, so when I started my first ever online boutique, well, first of all, I got started on eBay. This is 2006. I got started on eBay and then I started my first online shop with its own domain and website separate from eBay. And then 6 months after that, I opened my first brick and mortar store. So I was going from just making, using my savings. So I saved up for a whole year because, like I said, at the time I was just out of college. I was working, my first or second job, so wasn't making a ton of money at the time. And so it took me a whole entire year to save up. I think it was like $700 maybe to buy that first inventory. So there is nothing wrong with that either. And that's the route that I took to get started then. And then, of course, then when you go to opening a brick and mortar, you need way more money for inventory because you have to fill this entire space. You need obviously to pay rent now. So what I did is I ended up taking out a loan. So I took out a loan to start that first business. So even if, you don't have the money sitting in your savings account or you don't have the cash on hand, there are different like financing options. There's different grants that you can get and explore, especially for women in small business. So that's definitely something that is worth exploring and applying for. There's all kinds of business grants out there. And the other thing that I did that, again, like I'm not going to get too much into your finances. We're all adults here, so you need to make your own financial decisions, of course, always. But I did also use credit cards quite a bit. So credit cards, you definitely want to make sure you know what your percentage is on that, because if you have like a balance, so I would pay it off every month for the most part, but it's a good way to kind of get started. And then also with vendors, there's some vendors, and getting started, this might not be an option that's available to you, but there are some wholesalers that will give you, say, net 30, net 60, net 90 terms. And what that means is that you don't have to pay for that inventory until, 30, 60, or 90 days later. So that way you have a little bit of time to make some money after you buy this inventory instead of having to put up all the money up front. Okay, I already told you guys, like if you're struggling to pay for your necessities and your bills, I don't recommend starting a new business just because, I don't want to say like I don't recommend it because I think that it's also definitely something that you can do. But I do know from my experience, like starting something from a place of like stress and being like, I have to make these sales, I have to sell this right now or else I'm not going to be able to pay my rent or something like that. That's a much worse place to be in than having fun with it, because I fully believe that whether you're the face of your brand or not, like the energy of what's going on with you, I definitely think like transfers through in your like sales emails, in your Instagram posts, because you're just like so desperate to get these sales. So I don't like to like transfer out that energy. And every time that I have that energy, I feel like my sales are less than when I'm just in a place of like everything is okay and I'm just enjoying myself and having fun and I'm not as concerned about sales. And I know that sounds like counterproductive, but I need to be worried about sales because that's the whole point, is to make sales. And yes, it is, but like say you're going live and selling stuff, like people can tell if you're having fun or if you're just like desperately trying to sell them something. So that's why I recommend, like if you are like super stressed out, or anything like that about paying bills, like it's just not a good place to be in. So my advice, like even if it takes you a year and you have to save up the $700 like I did, I just feel like that's a much better way to start. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. At the end of the day, it's really your decision and what you do with your finances, but definitely be responsible about it. Think it through. Have a good plan for your business. If you have a good plan and a good path, then I say you know what to do. You also, have to think about certain things, because even if you start a drop shipping boutique, you have to market it in some sort of way. So how are you going to do that? Are you going to be sending product to influencers, or are you going to be advertising on Facebook and Instagram? Or maybe you already have a following or a customer base and you don't need to put money into that to get things rolling. So it really all depends on your plans for your business. I totally trust you to make the right decision on your finances and whether it's a good time or not for you to get started, but I just wanted to pop in here and give you some of my thoughts on the topic because I know how it is starting a new business and maybe not having like all this money that you want to start the business, or just, you know, like I was getting out of college, you're not making a ton of money, but you know that you want to work for yourself. So there's definitely ways to do it. But you definitely still want to do it responsibly. So yeah, so that was my boutique tip for today. I hope that helped some of you get some clarity. If not, go ahead and leave me a comment. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I will see you guys, and I hope you like this video. Adios.